and show it on the screen. Okay, I'm back, everyone. So, okay, good. You are here. Brother is here. Dan is here. Dan, do you have my Melanin Dark Consciousness book? I'm not sure whether you have it or not. I'm going to show it on the screen and just show an example of what melanin actually does. So, there's a misconception. Okay, I'm in the pod crowd. There's a misconception that melanin is pigmentation, and that's all it is. Actually, the melanin that you see on the surface of your skin is the least amount of melanin in your body. Say it again. So the melanin that you see on the outside of your skin is the small portion of melanin. The actual melanin in large portions are all throughout every organ, all of your limbs. It's actually what's creating the body during the first stages of embryology. We're actually going to go through it. So I'm going to show I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share and give you guys a small taste of the book, and then you guys can inquire about how to obtain the book, and you can get your own copy through email. Okay, so here's the cover of the book, Melanin Dark Consciousness by Amun Hotep Ra. That is another one of my names. That's actually the full name, Tehuti Amun Hotep Ra. So this is the cover of the book, and you get the PDF. You get the book in a PDF form when you order it, coming straight to your email within 5 minutes or an hour. A few minutes after you send the cash app for the book, you get the book. From that point, it's in a PDF file, so you can easily print it out, take it to a printer if you'd like to have it in a solid copy. I send you the book cover. You can print it out for a few dollars, and I'd say they bind it and print it all together for maybe about $7. Okay, so this is the cover of the book, and we'll go into a section of the book, Melanin Dark Consciousness, and it says here, so now back to the Nibiru and conscious melanin and how it relates to birth and gestation. Melanin, as we have gone over, is conscious self-correcting and sustaining. It is the manifestation of light consciousness that manifests here on earth as the Nibiru, which are symbolized by what looks like 3 number 9s, and how it derives the word nature, which means birth. Thus, as a microcosm or reenactment of reality taking place during birth in the 3 periods which make up the 9 cycle of birth and the 9 months. During pregnancy, melanin works with what I call the triad of embryonic darkness. And now let's get into the science. What happens is during the early stages of the embryo's development, the ectoderm splits into 3 regions. And those 3 regions are prospective neural tube, the prospective neural crest, and the epidermis. So we see that the pregnancy stages and the melanin stages are divided into sets of 3s, which is why they call pregnancy trimester, coming from the word 3, really coming from the word tree. Right? Tree and 3 is the exact same word in its etymological root, and it represents birth. And 3 sets of 3 represents 9, which are the months of birth. And during the embryo's development, the ectoderm splits into 3 regions, and these 3 regions work with melanin to actually create the body itself. So can melanin heal the body? Melanin is actually what creates the body in a healed state. And once the body goes back to 0 point field energy of its created state, the frequency takes it back to a healed state. because your body was healed and perfect before the damage was done. So let's go into it. So melanin at this point becomes the creator and sustainer of life. So melanin is not just the color of your skin. No. Whether you're as dark as Wesley Snipes, or whether you're as light as Steph Curry, our kid from Kid and Play, while you were in the womb, the melanin worked the exact same way to create you in a multitudes of different shades, because the melanin that most people talk about is just the melanin that you see on the surface of the skin. That's the minute melanin. The melanin actually works inside of the womb to create the body parts itself, which means all the body parts are created from melanin. Now, with a perspective neural tube, melanin creates. So here's what melanin creates. Melanin creates these things, and melanin heals these things, because melanin is what's actually creating them in the first place. The objective of healing somebody or bringing somebody back to health is to bring your physical body back to the state it was created in. So once there is an invasion, a virus, a bacteria, or something of such that alters the original state that your body's supposed to be in, so the definition literally of healing is to bring your body back to the state that it was created in before the invasion. So because melanin has all the materials necessary and needed to create these body parts in the first place, then yes, melanin is healing the body. Let's go through it. The posterior pituitary gland, one of the glands that a lot of our people are calling the third eye. There's conversations on whether the third eye is the pineal gland or pituitary gland. Some people say that it's both, but understand that this is what melanin is creating. The pituitary gland. Now, understand the pituitary gland that at us, 7 weeks, which is the number 49, which is 7 times 7. The pituitary gland produces cyclotory luteus corpus, and cyclotory luteus corpus is responsible for giving you your gender. That's when you become who you are in the physical form. You don't become who you are in the physical form until you have the gender. Okay, and that's what melanin is creating. It creates the pituitary gland, which is helping cyclotory luteus corpus create your gender at the 7 times 7, which is the exact same time that Buddhist monks say reincarnation occurs, at the time that the gender occurs. So the pituitary gland itself is created by melanin. The brain, your whole brain, melanin is being used to create your brain. Those are your thoughts, your bodily functions. Your brain is also part of what's healing you in the first place. The brain can send out neuronic messages to body parts that can cause those body parts to heal. It's one of the reasons why you feel pain. Pain is a warning to your brain that the thing that's happening to the physical body should stop, or it will need healing. What you'll notice also is that they'll say that melanin produces what color skin? They'll say brown, right? And if you are really, really dark, they say you have a lot of melanin, right? Like Wesley Snipes. Well, what's one of the first things that happens to you after you get a cut? Melanin starts to gather to that area, and you notice that that area that you were cut in always becomes darker. Your skin is actually left a little bit darker than what it was in that area before it was damaged. It's actually melanin that's helping heal and bring your body back together, because it's what created the brain, the optic vesicles. That's how you can see. If you remove melanin from your eyes, you're now blind. You put melanin back into your eyes, into where they're supposed to go, and now you can see again. So when people talk about melanin, they should understand the importance of what this melanin is actually doing, other than bragging about how dark skin you are, because that's the least that it's doing. It wouldn't matter how dark skin you are if your pituitary gland didn't work. It wouldn't matter how dark skin you are if your brain doesn't work, if you can't see. The spinal cord and the motor nerves, that's responsible for the brain to communicate through the spinal cord to the motor nerves, so that you can even move your body. Without melanin, you cannot move your body. To even heal yourself, you can't even if you don't acknowledge the melanin inside of you healing, you can't even move to get the Band-Aid. You can't move to get to the doctor, to get to the healing. You can't take the Tylenol. You can't wrap your hand if the melanin isn't functioning for the motor nerves to move your hands and your feet. You can't even drive or walk. Now, that's just the one. That's the prospective neural tube. Now, with a prospective neural crest, migratory cells from the sensory nerves and ganglia, which receive impulses from the following sites: the sense organs, the adrenaline, medulla, pigmented retina cells, cartilage of the voice box, epidermis layer. So let's stop. Let's look at this. Okay, so we have the impulses of the sites, sense organs, adrenaline, medulla, pigmented retina of the cells, cartilage of the voice box. So without the melanin working with the prospective neural crest, you have no ability to even speak. So melanin is giving you the ability to make noise and speak. So imagine removing melanin from the world. Imagine removing melanin from just that part of the body. Human beings, as they call us, would have no history of speaking. We wouldn't be able to communicate. Imagine this Earth's history removing communication. Once you understand that, you'll start to understand how important melanin actually is. Melanin is more important than Jesus. Melanin is more important than God. Melanin is more important than all of the religions, because you can't even preach your religion if you can't talk. Now we'll get to the epidermis layer. Melanin sustains olfactory structures, right? What's olfactory structures? In the inner ear, that's your ability to hear. Remove melanin's healing ability to create the olfactory structures, and you won't be able to hear. Add melanin properly, and now your hearing is working. Your hair, your nails, the lining of your mouth, the outer layer of your skin, and what people are calling the third eye, the pituitary gland. Most people, and here's where the racism comes in, a lot of European people brag about the pituitary gland. A lot of those who call themselves woke or conscious or mystical, esoteric, they're always talking about the pituitary gland, the pituitary gland, the third eye, the third eye. They're always talking about this physical object in the body that's responsible for your spiritual abilities. The pituitary gland gives you the ability to see into different dimensions. This is what they're saying. The pituitary gland does all this. Why is every group leaving out the part that the prospective neural crest and melanin creates the pituitary gland? So without melanin, you don't have a pituitary gland to have a third eye. So melanin is more important than the pituitary gland. It's what creates it. It's what creates your hair, nails. You remove the melanin. So people think that melanin, because really melanocyte cells are just responsible for the color of your hair. No. Those are the melanocyte cells, yes. Melanin is responsible for you having hair in the first place. You don't have hair without melanin. Imagine living your life without nails, without the lining of the mouth and the pituitary gland. Melanin is a light molecule that creates all life. It is the creator, manifests on the physical plane in its original state. It would be considered protomelanin in its early stage of light. In its physical form, it is the organizer of life. It's drawn to the function of creation, as were the Nitiru and all God forms discussed within organized religions. Christians always say to me, you know how I know there's a God? I say, how? They say, because he wakes me up in the morning. Who wakes you up in the morning? Well, I say, if that's what makes you God, then melanin is God, because what most people don't know is that it is not God that wakes you up in the morning, it's actually melatonin. And I'm not saying that melatonin is melanin, but if they're saying that what wakes you up in the morning is God, it's actually melatonin that wakes you up. It's melatonin that puts you to sleep. When you understand these bodily functions, you'll be more appreciative of your health as opposed to unseen God in a Bible. So it's more important to know about melatonin and melanin than it is to know about Jesus Christ and God, because these are the things that are actually causing your body to function. So to answer the brother's question, we'll shrink that down, and I'm letting you guys see what's in the book. Even though this book is called Melanin Dark Consciousness, look at all the information that's within this book that deals with things even outside of melanin, and deals with sound, light, creation, energy. It's a very powerful book. It deals with the principles of Tehuti that became the Greek principles, the 9 axioms of Tehuti. It explains how they made the new Tehuti, this gay man, this man here. But let me go up to this. Yeah, so this is the cover of the book. It is Melanin Dark Consciousness. It is available. So Kamit 101 or anyone else, just contact me, ask me how to obtain it, and you can read what I just read in the book and a lot more. Understand that information that I gave you that's in this book isn't that particular section, is in other books that deal with melanin. I think there's a brother named Owen, I forgot his last name, but he has another one called The Science of Melanin, because this information is actually coming from, it's actually photocopied from scientific research papers and doctors' papers that all know that this is what melanin does. So people that study the anatomy will give you the exact word for word, the thing I just read. They will give you that because that's in their anatomy books as to what melanin does and the 3 stages and the neural test, neural tube, and epidermal. This is what the people that study anatomy are learning. So you'll find that little bit of information in a few books that discuss melanin. Okay, so Kamit 101, let me take it off screen share. Kamit 101, thank you for your question. And yes, you can obtain that book, get much more information than what I just read. But to the answer to the question is absolutely, melanin is the healer, because melanin is actually what's creating the body parts. So I do a practice with my goddesses and with some other people, and I use a particular wand. I bring the cells back to 0-point field energy. I've cured back pains, gout, and other type of physical ailments and pain inside the body. It's very good for pain inside the body. And what's happening is the 0-point field energy helps your cells remember their original state of being. So it helps them go back. There's a particular ritual and practice that I do with it. But when the cells go back, they go back to a point where there was no back pain. It works for things like that. I know a lot of people are going to ask me, hey, can it work for COVID? Can it work for the Delta variant? Can it work for, and actually, no. No, the 0-point field energy doesn't work with those because as with a living organism, or because the COVID vaccine, well, these things have living creatures inside of them now that they're putting in your body. But these living things that are attacking you, because they're there attacking again, even if you take the cell back to 0-point field energy as it's going back, the virus and the thing is still there going back into it. So it's like this, as opposed to, say, a back pain or something that's not being caused by a living physical entity. It's being caused by a damage. So when you take that part and bring it back to 0 point field energy. And as long as you take care of your back and don't strain it, then the pain goes away. But when it comes to things like a virus or something inside of your body that is going to be there attacking, no, it's not going to work for COVID and Omicron and. But the point of the matter is that once the cells go back to 0 point field energy and go back to the original state, that is the process of the healing. So yes, melanin does that because melanin is what created it. So thanks for your question. That is the answer to that question. Yes, melanin does heal. Thank you. Let me check.